Menopausal and perimenopausal women, listen up. It's time to take control of your health and comfort, and Winona is here to help. Winona is a telemedicine company for menopause care who believes that your symptoms are real, important, and deserve to be taken seriously. And for many women, this starts with hormone replacement therapy. Winona's HRT is made with plant-based, bioidentical hormones rather than synthetic ones, so it better aligns with your body to offer relief from hot flashes, weight gain, and other uncomfortable symptoms. 80% of women who use Winona find relief within just 90 days. So, what are you waiting for? Get started today. Visit buywinona.com today to start your free visit. With free shipping and the ability to pause or cancel at any time, your path to wellness has zero obligations. Use code SPRING24 at buywinona.com for 25% off your first treatment plan. That's BYWINONA.com for 25% off. Winona. Menopause care made easy. Summer is the season of hot temperatures, outdoor adventures, and refreshing water activities. Summer is also the season of rough on your feet, causing dry, cracked heels and toes. Introducing Babyfoot, the original exfoliation foot peel that contains 16 natural extracts formulated to remove dead skin cells in 3 easy steps. Apply the booties, relax for an hour, then wash your feet. In 14 days, you've got baby smooth skin and your feet have never been softer. Letting dead skin cells build up over time is hazardous to your foot health. Our professional-grade DIY products, like our original exfoliation foot peel, our men's foot peel, or our moisturizing mask, are some of the best foot care products on the market, created with your foot health in mind. Pamper yourself with a spa day from the comfort and convenience of your own home with Babyfoot. If you want a chemical-free, easy-to-use exfoliating process from the company that created the original foot peel, it's time to treat yourself to Babyfoot. Go to babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24 and get 20% off your first order with Babyfoot. That's babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24.
Hello and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and I hope you are ready for things to sizzle, because today's episode is another in the series of Hot as Hell with TSTL, special episodes where I interview romance authors and other figures in the sexy world of Romancelandia. And today's guest is someone that I consider to be quite cool, but that doesn't mean things don't heat up. Author Skye McDonald is returning to the show to discuss her newest, and dare I say, most bodacious book, because it takes place in the 80s, which is called The Not So Nice Girl. We had such a great discussion about the book, what it means to be a nice girl, happily ever afters, and so much more. So please enjoy this totally tubular episode where Skye McDonald gets hot as hell with TSTL. Skye, welcome back to Too Stupid to Live.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back.
I'm so excited to have you. I just finished Not So Nice Girl, and my Lord, like, it was what a wild ride. What a Back to the Future wild ride.
Indeed.
So first of all, I mean, how have you been since like we last talked, and how has your life changed for the better since first appearing on Too Stupid to Live, the best podcast in the world?
It was really a pivotal moment. Everything looked out for me after that. It's literally walking on sunshine ever since we connected. No, it actually has been great. And I was thrilled to talk to you. I can't remember when we last talked, if we did it with Nemesis, which was my last book to release that wasn't a co-authored book, but that would have been back in 2020. So it's been at least 3 years, and life has been very good. I released the trilogy of Unlikely Pairings, co-authored with Sarah Smith. We have had a great time writing together over these last 3 years. And now I'm coming back to my solo work with A Not So Nice Girl, kind of taking a hard pivot and going into what's almost a prequel to the Anti-Bell series. And I mean, it is a prequel, but you don't have to know that in order to enjoy it. So yeah, it's been really good. I left Brooklyn. I left teaching. I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm a coach instead. And just a lot of fun things. Dog mom, for life. So
Congratulations.
really enjoying it. Yeah. Thank
That's
you.
great. How was it like writing with one other person to writing alone again? Like, tell me about that.
It was, they're just such different experiences. So writing alone, I do miss being able to sort of jump into a conversation with somebody and build on that from there. But at the same time, like I had a full vision of what it was going to be. So it's just like a very different experience. Writing with somebody, I'm kind of always excited to see what happens next. It's almost like being a writer and a reader all at once. And with this one, just sort of taking the reins and taking it where I knew I wanted it to go. So I do miss having like a thought partner, but this is my fourth book to come out solo, so kind of used to that routine by now as well.
Cool. So the book is called The Not So Nice Girl. It, as you said, it's a prequel. I was like, oh, Elle, the original anti-Belle. Like that's what I thought. Um, so it takes place in the 80s, which I told before we recorded. I thought was like, yeah, 10 years ago, and then I realized the 80s is 40 years ago. So tell me about like your original idea for the book.
Okay, so yes, first of all, I love that you just said that because Elle is the OG Auntie Belle. She, as I built her in Not Suitable for Work, I did not have her story in mind. She's a Celeste's mom, so she's the main character's mom in my first book. But I went back to put their story together, and that was very fun. But the original idea, and of course, timelines get weird, exactly like you said. When I first wrote Not Suitable for Work, it was like 2014. So it stood to reason that this person's parents would have come to age in the 80s. Although now that we're nearly 10 years beyond that, let's just not look at the math.
No,
Okay.
we don't need to. Like the one thing we do not need to.
Right. But I just figured so at the time it made sense that that would be the timeline. But more than that, growing up in Nashville, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna show my age, but I'm more of a child of the 90s technically.
Me too. Yeah.
Like yeah, I came to age in the 90s, but I was, like so thinking about Nashville as it is now, because of course that's a big part of my whole series is Nashville's really the backdrop and how it's grown and flourished and it's so awesome. And thinking about like what would it be like, what would the scene be like that would be cool back then, because it was largely honky tonk and country music at that point and still very much a small town under a million people, not even thinking about hitting a million. So just kind of having fun with going back to tell a story of the world that I've created, but also sort of rebuilding Nashville of my childhood and definitely having to do some research to do that. So it was
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yeah, it was so interesting because I had to remind myself again and again that it was Nashville and not like a small town because it
Mhm.
felt like, and I was like, is it because there's no like, what is it? And it was like, it just felt, I had to remind myself it was not the Nashville that I had seen, which was very like metropolitan.
Uh-huh. Yes, absolutely. And, growing up in Nashville in the 80s to 90s, it wasn't like when I go there, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I always joke, this is a joke I've used 1,000 times, it's one of those, but I always say it got really cool after I left, so I try not to take that personally.
Hmm.
But growing up, you went to the mall, you went to chain restaurants, like it was very like the burbs and that was it. Downtown was some nightlife, again, largely a lot of country music centered, a bit seedy, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like they're a bit dicey in places. But and again, that was much later than when this book is set. So trying to envision it then, it would have been pretty quiet, and these characters are I guess this classes as a new adult book because these characters are just out of college. So there is kind of that build around the post graduation. And I don't explicitly say they went to Vanderbilt, but it's pretty clear that they're around campus. I might actually specifically say it, but yeah, it doesn't feel like Nashville now, right? You
Hmm.
just don't have that. Where shall we eat? Like any one of 100 places. What shall we do? Any number of things. It's a lot quieter, and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like, I feel like, obviously I wasn't raised in Nashville, but I do remember, in the 90s, like, sitting around with friends being like, what should we do?
Mhm.
And having that be a big deal instead of like me texting a friend saying, hey, let's meet here, and we're doing it right away. There was just like a different, things were slower, you know?
They were, and it's so funny because I can remember not having a cell phone, but I don't remember how we functioned. And indeed,
Yes.
even my
Mm-hmm.
mother has said that she has a hard time remembering.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I know we met up, but I don't know how that came together. What if you were late? I guess you just weren't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, yeah, I have no idea. And it's like if someone was at a restaurant and you knew that they were at the restaurant and you wanted to call them, you would have to call the restaurant.
Hmm.
Isn't that wild?
I know. And that happens in the
Yeah,
book.
I
Yeah,
know.
in
I
the
was like,
book,
this is
like
wild.
one of the characters calls the country club that
Yeah.
they're like, having this anniversary party at. She needs to reach them. One of my favorite lines I like slid into the book exactly on that topic is the main character Sam is at his apartment waiting on some news, and his friend Monica calls and she goes, "Where are you?" And he says, "You just called me, Monica. Where else would I be but home?" And I deliberately put that in there because of the no cell phone era. It's
Mm-hmm.
like now that's a very standard question to
Yep.
ask.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, it's like, well, duh, you're at home. You just called me.
Oh, that's
So,
so funny. I
yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. It is interesting to think about, like, in writing it, what would have been different, right? What would they have not known? And the ability to do like a misinformation,
Yeah.
right? Or to have the idea, like the setup here is that they don't realize at first that they have the same friend group. That would never happen now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because so
Yeah.
and so would have texted so and so, and you'd be on a group chat and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And Instagram would be like all of these things. So the ability to be unaware of something or to not know what movie or book are coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not everywhere. It's not pervasive. It's like, oh, I think I heard about that one, as opposed to, well, of course, we've seen all the memes, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, very different way we absorbed information, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
For good
And
or for bad.
yeah, and the way we listen to music. Like I think, the radio station, remember
Mhm.
radio and not streaming, and then also I mean music plays a big role in this story.
Mhm.
And going to the record store, and the character who owns the record store plays a big story, and but also the I mean they first hook up in a listening booth, and that obviously is very sexy, but like I think for some reason I just like loved when there's a moment where she's going through an emotional crisis a bit and she goes into a record booth and listens to a record, which I thought was so powerful, and it like makes you forget, like there were headphones, in like Borders in the 90s, and
Uh-huh.
it's like makes you forget like that, like having like solitude, the solitude pre streaming music.
Yeah, that's really interesting that's an interesting term, solitude, like where you went with music. Like
Mhm.
it was a it was an event to listen to the music
Mhm.
as opposed to it just always on in the background. Um, and then yeah, even if you were with your friends at the mall, you put on the headphones and you were in the music
Mhm.
and you were listening to a body of work as opposed to a playlist, right? I love playlists. I'm all about the playlist.
Mhm.
But really absorbing like an album as a whole body of work and the way that artists used to put that together, I think, and still do. If you think about, I mean, that's very much being emerged now again, is telling like a story arc. If you think about Taylor Swift's work, um, it's an interesting sort of return to that. And I know vinyl is really coming back as a very prized way to listen to things because of the richness I think that it gives you. So yeah,
Mhm.
totally.
Yeah. It's interesting cuz like when an album comes out, it's such a it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal to them. But it also like serves, it's almost like reading a book, like listening to a whole album is like reading a book.
Yeah, it is versus just like getting your headlines or getting your tweets about it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
Yeah.
I think that's a thing that it's easy to forget now. I
Mhm.
mean, I know it's less common for me to listen to a whole album. And even one, like if it drops and I'm very excited about this artist's album, generally I'll listen to it through a couple of times and then I'll take what I want into a playlist,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So really sort of valuing the entire work. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing when we talk about reading, a lot of people I mean, reading is very alive and robust, definitely in the romance genre, right?
Yeah.
It's still one of the fastest growing. While a lot of reading is declining, romance is holding steady and going very strong. Um, I think it gives people something they can get themselves lost into, uh, because we are so rushed now, and we want things that, I don't know. That's an interesting point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why I related to the scene where she listens to the album in its entirety to kind of work to kind of escape, because that's my like how I originally started reading romances. It's like your own,
Mhm.
like you are in your own little listening booth, except there's like people making out and hot stuff.
Yeah. So in this book, we just put both of those things together.
Exactly. It was great. It was like, yes, everything in one booth, baby.
There is only one booth. That's
One
right.
booth.
Love it.
So what was your inspiration for Eleanor? I mean, she's Celeste's mom, but like as a character, what was your inspiration for her in her early 1920s, like in her 19 turning 20s,
That's an interesting question. When I first created her in book and Not Suitable for Work, I did not think about her as a young woman. This story came to me later. And in that book, she's a little bit of a hybrid of my mother and a lot of my grandmother. But when I went to make her story, I thought of her being a bit stubborn, like she is in Not Suitable for Work, and yet still very youthful.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting part, and I don't want to say too much about the book and like the themes of it, unless you want to get in there, but like the interesting part was, why was she doing what she was doing, right? And so in the book initially, when I started drafting it, because I'm not a plotter, right? I'll just start writing a book. Um, she was very skittish about committing to this place being her home. She was kind of freewheeling and didn't want to settle down, and she was really resistant to anything that might tie her to something. And as I started the book, I really couldn't figure out why she would be that way. And then at some point, her whole backstory about her teenage years just kind of crashed into my head, and I was like, oh, that's why you're doing that, which is a thing that if you're an author, you kind of know it's really not as mad as it sounds. But creating her backstory about why, as a young woman, she had to make some very difficult decisions. And, I mean, I'll say like there's an element here about a woman's right to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, as her motivating factor of a thing that forced her to grow up, but also arrested her adolescence, brought me into why she was hesitant to find a home and sort of step into her own worth. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was the journey with her.
Well, I mean, obviously, that resonates for the times today. There were a lot of elements in terms of like when she talks about her backstory and like how kind of the pressure she felt from society and the shame that she felt and the shame she got from other people, like that people are still like dealing with that today, except we have memes, and it's not
Right.
memes, not moms, like
Right. Memes and hashtags, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, absolutely. I don't think anything about what she goes through and the choices she had to make. I mean, they're sort of a time because but even then not exactly, right? Like, I don't think that those gender roles, the idea of being a nice girl and not and like doing the things that nice girls do, whatever that means to whoever's saying it, is definitely still around, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yes, we push back now and like we advocate for consent, but even then it's still a slippery slope, and there's still a lot of hypocrisy around like, oh, you want to have powerful women, but you also want them to be like nice and accommodating, right? And her choices, and also the way that her parenting, like her mother, comes into the play, I think absolutely those are things we're still dealing with.
Yeah.
The balance between being yourself and feeling like this is how it's done, right? This is just what's done. And
Yeah.
so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it feels like she has like this like level of self-awareness. Like she knows there's the pressure to be nice, and she doesn't even for me, doesn't even want to be, but knows she has to be in order to survive each day, to get the job, to move here, to study this. And I think it's still something that's like very common. Maybe we don't I don't know. I mean, I think we still use the term nice in, the 2020s, but like, I feel like there's this awareness of like, I don't know. I know that there's microaggressions against me. I know that there's still sexism.
Mm-hmm.
I am just going to act this way so I can just get through the day without getting in a fight with someone, or like, not, or putting food on the table if it's, like whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. And even now in this age of information, when we are all connected, it can be a very isolating feeling, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I going through this? Why am I, I mean, even I sort of pride myself on feeling like I can say, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody really or say something. But I've certainly been in a room like with colleagues, I mean, back in my teaching job where, somebody made a joke and I still remember it. I'm not going to go into it, but it, like made a joke about like sexual harassment. And because we were having to do like a webinar, me just like, "Blah, blah, blah, if I wanted to harass somebody." And it was one of those moments where I was just like, and I didn't say anything. And I was like, I should have said something. I should have gotten up and been like, that's not funny. And I don't feel like we have to browbeat everybody about everything, but I do think having the confidence to be not nice and be like, that's not funny. You just
Mm-hmm.
sound like a jerk. Um, Without then tearing them apart or trying to, like ruin their life, but making people aware, like what you're saying is not okay. Not
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was mad at myself for not saying that, but it's that feeling of like you're on your own to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think we
Yeah.
still have that even with our interconnectedness.
Yeah. My first reaction is don't be mad at yourself. But the thing is that like I think like when if you were to speak up, I'm just like thinking about my own experiences and experiences of people in my life. If you did speak up, you suddenly get a new label. You get labeled as difficult. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden there's a different label now, and it's like we're always labeled. We're never not labeled.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that, both of the main characters are dealing with in this book is this label of being nice.
Mm-hmm.
She uses the term wife material, but he cut in the conversation. He's like, if that's true, then husband material is just as real. And I think that that's true for men as well. The expectation of masculinity, of being a good provider, and all of these things. Even though, again, we've come so far in certain philosophies, men being strong, like we're still working to tear that idea down. And the idea that strength is being attuned to your emotions and admitting, I don't know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's where we get into a lot of, I mean, toxicity for both genders, and again that feeling of alienation of like I'm different if I'm difficult, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing it the right way. And Sam
Yeah.
deals with that as well, right? Like the
Absolutely.
idea he's
Yeah.
letting somebody down. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what was like particularly heartbreaking in this book is the pressure from Eleanor's mom and the kind of the rules of being the nice girl that were delivered to her by her mom, almost making like it felt like her mom was almost an accomplice in Eleanor's trauma, which is very sad. It's very difficult to deal with. I'm sure very true. Um, but so I was just like, did you like? Where did that come from? Like, why did you like bring like sort of like? Because I don't know. I know there's a South, and I'm from New Jersey, so I guess maybe that's why I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know. But is it a cultural thing, like to like in the debutante world?
First of all, I don't know about debutantes.
Me neither.
I
Yeah.
did have to look into that.
Okay, because she's a debutante in
She
or
is,
was
she
a
is.
debutante. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I will say is that the emphasis on niceness and pleasantness growing up was still extremely real.
Yeah.
Um, my own mother is wonderful. I'm very close to my mom, but my intensity can alarm her, is what
Yeah.
she has
Mm-hmm.
actually said to me. I've written about that in my Substack, but any sort of like you didn't want to show a lot of emotion, you didn't want to be unpleasant, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was very much not like, oh, just be nice, like be a good little girl. She was not like that. um but that vibe in the South of like let's keep it genteel, that
Mm-hmm.
was very real. You
Yeah.
really didn't want to get into, there were things you just didn't talk about at the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that's always a bad thing. I don't think we always have to drag out everything.
No. Yeah.
Right, but this masking over of what was really going on. This idea that we're going to put a gloss on it and we're going to smile politely. And it's going to be fine because he's a good man, right? He's good. And again, like I'm sort of straying, I don't want to spoil it too much, but she is the mother. I really wanted her to be, I really didn't want the onus to just be on Elle or the decision she had to make because of the person she was seeing. I wanted the idea to be like, this was coming from multiple sides, right? And the mother is doing what she thinks is right for her daughter, which is assuring her of a stable future, right? But it's really like cringy because it's completely inappropriate. And I think that there's a lot of fidelity to that. This idea of like, this is for the best. It's for the best. Just go with it. And stepping away from that is really important.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like I feel like Eleanor has the same style, same mentality of like, this is for the best. I'm not gonna settle down because it's for the best. It's for the best, but she's just doing it. She's doing it like her mom. Like she's thinking like her mom, just about a different subject.
That's so interesting. You're right, because she's like decided how things should be, and that's part of what I like characters to work through in the book, is that they've decided who they are, and it's some sort of negative version of themselves, or almost punitive. Like Celeste in book 1 is punishing herself to no end, right? She's decided this is how she is, and da-da-da-da. And so in a similar vein, Eleanor has decided this is what she deserves. This is what she can say yes to because of her background and all of the flaws that she clearly has. But the arc of pretty much of all of my books is women learning to embrace themselves and love themselves, and then say, no, this is what I deserve. This is what I want. I'm not going to run from that anymore.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I think what makes your male characters in this book, or like the love interests in your book, particularly sexy, is them kind of being there for that journey of like, kind of in the beginning, like, I feel like this was in Not Suitable for Work and this book where the love interest says like pretty early on, be yourself, I don't sex shame, and it's just like, it's there, chapter, like right in the beginning, and then it's like, yeah, you got to learn that, and then you see them.
Yeah, I really do love to write the guy who is all about her being herself. There is, it's like, you're not going to mess this up. You're not going to mess this up. And I guess that makes them cinnamon rolls, which is cool. Sure. I definitely class Sam as a he falls first. But it is, I really like the idea of the person who's truly going to spend their life with you, going to be your partner, saying like, no, just you, right? All of you, unapologetically you. And I think that that's like, I don't know, I find that super sexy. So yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's like, I feel like a lot of readers are realizing that now. And like a lot of like, when I like tell people about romance novels who haven't read one and they'll like see a character do something like that, they'll be like, holy shit, that's incredibly sexy. Like, the people are blown away by it,
Yeah. Yeah, far more than the 8-pack abs or, the billions of dollars, is the man who's going to say, just you. Stop running from you. I don't want to run from you. So
yeah. Like there's like this moment, I was talking about Outlander with someone, and like when they like reunite and she tells him, she's like, oh, I got my medical degree, I'm now a surgeon, and he's like, you always were. And like I'm like, that was the sexiest thing out of in the entire show.
Because he knew
he just knew. So tell me about Sam a little bit more. We were talking about how like he had like the pressures he feels in terms of being the perfect husband, kind of being the correct quote unquote masculine person in America in the 1980s. Talk to me about him.
Sam is one of the sweetest guys I've ever written. He is not my type. But I love,
my God. Yeah.
I would be much more team Brian. Right. Which there is a book about Brian.
Thank goodness. I mean,
Yes.
he needs his love
Yes.
story.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Playboy definitely falls hard. But Sam is so sweet, and so he's not meek, he's just himself.
Yeah.
And he's not worried about being something else, which is not dissimilar from Ben in Not Suitable for Work, just different, right? A
Yeah.
very different vibe. He's younger, right? He's younger, he's just now figuring out who he is, and his whole college time has been spent with this girlfriend who's been off, been on, been off, whenever she feels like it. Indeed, the first draft of this book, the chapter opens with the breakup scene between him and Trish, which, and that's not a spoiler, like it's right there in the opening of the book. But I decided that it put too much focus on them, so that didn't feel right to actually open the book about Sam and Elle. But Sam is very learning to accept the fact that he is just him. And I love that about him because as Eleanor is taking the journey of getting comfortable in herself, he's realizing he's not the loser. It's not his fault that his girlfriend was a flake on him. She's one of the few characters I've written who really is just like, I don't like her, but you know, and whatever her journey is, I don't have a book for her, which is rare for me, but she represents that almost like a nice girl, right? She's going to do what she wants to do, and it's on her timeline, and he's just there to say okay. But in falling in love with Elle and realizing that he can be a partner to somebody that he finds so amazing, he's really able to step into the confidence of, I don't have to be cool, I don't have to be my brother who's a playboy, I don't have to be anybody but myself, and I can still like be amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, very different than my usual kind of guy, but again, like younger. So I think that's why it tracks that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed him. He was fun.
It's so funny you use the term cool because maybe it's an 80s thing. I thought Sam was the coolest character that I've ever read. And maybe because like because it's not like he was like the popular guy like in a Grease movie, you know, like, you know, whatever, right. But like he was just like, he was, you know, like ducky and pretty and pink in a way. And he was like, I don't want to, he was so not cool, he was cool, and he didn't realize he was cool, and there was like something very like authentic. That's it. He was very authentic.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad to hear it. He's so not bothered by being cool that he is cool, and we see that kind of thing now, and that is a way we've kind of progressed. But yeah, he's not a macho man, he's not flashy, he's not a player, right? He's just doing his music thing, he's doing his chemistry thing, and he doesn't see that as cool because of, again, the standards of what we would see. But I do think he's cool. He's very, very sweet.
Yeah. He's such a sweet, cool guy.
Yeah.
So the two of them meet in the record store, and in your acknowledgments, I think you mentioned that the owner of the record store is actually based on someone that you know.
Yes. First of all, I love that you read the acknowledgments. I love it when people do.
Spoiler alert! I read.
Yeah. So the owner of the record store is my dad.
Oh,
all right. Yeah.
Oh my god! I love that.
You asked me this. That is the most that I have put someone into a book, like just straight up. And it's so funny when I tell people, like, I put my dad in a book, I'm like, not as the love interest. That's weird. But the owner of the record, my dad he was a district manager for a chain of record stores in Nashville in the 80s. And I will say I did freely kind of hybrid him with the dude from The Big Lebowski.
Sure, yeah. Because I'm like, yeah, I definitely got that of like, yeah.
Yeah, but sports fans is the thing my dad used to say. And that thing about, there's a line where he's like, you know, we don't pay no attention to kangaroos. I don't know what that means, but my dad always used to say that when a kid was like bothering me. So yeah, the whole character of Mac, because McDonald, right, that's my last name, is based on my father. Yeah, there it is. Is based on my father. So I loved writing that. It was super fun, and he like got a huge kick out of it.
Oh, that's awesome. Because he does act like a father to them, but like, you know, in a very not like he doesn't overdo it,
No,
you know.
no, he's a very like laid back, chill, but definitely a mentoring, I mean, via music, of course, kind
Mhm.
of guy. The
Yeah.
album that he gives Eleanor in The Point by Nielsen is something I grew up on for sure. My dad wasn't into like The Cure and all the things that they're talking about necessarily, although Dire Straits, yes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun putting dad in the book.
Oh,
So
that's so cool. I
yeah.
love that. But yeah, that's so great because it's like I was like so curious. I was like, who is this person? Like, did you have a cool music hangout when you were growing up? Because I didn't have that. We just went to, you know, Tower Records.
We just went to Tower Records. I did not have a cool music. I did have a cool video store.
Mhm.
And there was a very cute video store boy. So I would go
Mm.
hang out at the video store.
So lucky.
You know how it is.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. That's
Yeah.
next. Your next book should be about a video store. I'm just
Oh,
putting it
that's
out there.
interesting
Putting
because
it out
we're gonna move into the 90s for the next one.
there. Hmm.
But different. So, but video
Yeah.
store. I should do that. I should put that into a book sometime. Good
Put a
point.
blockbuster reference. Be kind. Rewind. We'll get it.
Amazing.
There's also another like, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. I felt in this book, Eleanor, when she realizes her power, and there was this really good moment where she was like going to stand up for herself, and she's recognizing the things that she's done that is empowered, and
Mm.
she realizes that one of the things that she did was that empowered her was hook up with Sam in this booth. And it was like the most sex positive thing without like calling it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. I love the things that you noticed in this book. I'm so pleased because it's like all the things I wanted somebody to notice.
Yeah.
It is extremely sex positive. I am extremely sex positive. I think that we spend a lot of time shaming our wants and needs
Hmm.
and the empowerment that comes with intimacy. Like
Hmm.
saying yes, making the choice to say, I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to physically connect with you. I'm going to emotionally connect with you is an incredibly empowering thing. Whether that be with somebody that you truly deeply love, or whether it be a one night stand or a random hookup in a listening booth,
Hmm.
whatever you do in now, bathroom, I don't know. But
Sure. Yeah.
anyway,
The
point
iPad,
being,
iPod store. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, Apple Store bathroom, ew,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
no. But the point is, it's like, yeah, I think that there's a lot of positivity of a woman, especially a woman who's kind of running from her past and running from relationships, saying like, no, I did what I wanted there. I enjoyed that. Like it meant a lot to me to say, I'm going to be crazy in this moment. And
Hmm.
yeah, I was really that's important to me. I think that that's the exact kind of thing we need to do when we're talking about not worrying about being nice, but worrying about being authentic, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
it's the choice that's the empowering thing,
Mhm.
whether it's not necessarily what choice you're making, just the fact that you're making one is like
Mhm.
the triumph, you know.
Exactly, exactly. And of course she counts that as like a bad decision, but she knows
Hmm.
it's not a bad decision. She
No.
knows it's the thing that she wanted. And of course in the scene, in the initial scene, I do of course work into the consent because there's always going to be consent. So he even says he's like I want to kiss you right now before anything happens, and it is absolutely her. I mean, she invites him to the booth. So it is absolutely her saying, yeah, I want this. And
Hmm.
I think it is an empowering thing, especially when you need a moment of strength.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just nice to kind of it what like they weren't in love yet, you know? Like, you know, they were just like two strangers like you know, they're obviously attracted to each other, but I just like loved that like they it felt like there was the one night stand, which was like a fun one night stand, and then you had their love story. And it's like, yeah, it kind of like it treated a fun one night stand for what it was, I guess, you know, like it just she didn't fall in love right after, you know.
Right, exactly. You know, it definitely takes them time to move into that. Again, I do think he falls first for sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have to be, oh, with the love of my life. Like it can be like, no, I was there and I had a really good time. And
Hmm.
that was empowering because I wanted to have a really good time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, yes, I do think that it's an important thing that it's not always tied to love. It doesn't have to be tied to love, to be tied to self-love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
the purpose of my writing, the reason I'm writing these books is not necessarily to have, I mean, ideally, if they want to, millions of people would read it and love it. But I want people who read my work to be really in with it, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to say something that matters to people. And it doesn't have to be edgy, it doesn't have to be dark. Like my books aren't dark, but I do want to consider what makes people think and what like it really pushes those emotions without being overly emotive. The discussion about happily ever after is an interesting one, right? And I've heard a lot of talk among Bookstagram community about what equals happily ever after. And of course, my philosophy and what I coach people on in real life is that happily ever after is all about loving yourself.
Yes.
But the idea of like it needs to have a baby or there's a baby, I don't get down with. I mean, I don't have a baby, and that's okay. I'm comfortable with that choice, and I'm not unhappy, but I also think it can be very nice. So basically, like all romance, I think it should be what you want it to be, and everybody should write all kinds of things about all kinds of people falling in love and whatever their happily ever after is, whether they go and live in a tree or, live in a city or whatever it is they do. I definitely don't think marriage and baby have to be the end point that equals happy.
Yes, right.
And indeed, like this series, the Antebelle series, where where the characters go, who you're already seeing. So like Celeste and Ben have one path, and Nick and Mel have another, and Will and Liv have a whole other. And those things do play out as I go further into the series. Someday I'll release it, but not they don't all end up with kids in it and a white picket fence. They go in different places, and I think that's authentic to life.
Sometimes there's a part of me that's like, and there are people in Romancelandia who are way more attuned to what's happening on Book Talk and Instagram. There's a part of me that's like, well, why is this a debate? Like, why? Like, I understand people have their preferences of like how they want. I have my preferences. I love but like why like I never saw a happily for now being different from a happily ever after until I joined Twitter.
That's interesting too. I wrote an article about that on my Substack. The idea of happily ever after doesn't mean that you are always actively in love with this person. I always love you. I always love you, or I will always love you, can mean that in this space and time of my life, I loved you. And that was true. And that doesn't mean that it ends with your death.
Yeah.
For it to be authentically a love. And I've certainly, I mean, gosh, I've lived that. But the idea that we somehow have to seal it up into until you are dead for it to be authentically like, no, it's happy. They're happy together.
Yeah.
One thing I get uncomfortable with and this is again just a personal preference of mine. If I've read a book and the two people who, it's hate to love, but it feels more like hate, and the story kind of ends with like, there's no logistical way these people are going to end up not hating each other at some point. That feels uncomfortable to me, just because it's like, that's going to fall apart. They're too volatile or something like that. And I've read a few books that way, not many, but I don't, this guarantee of like, no, I promise they get buried in the same coffin. Like, no, that's not a happily ever after.
No, that's tragic. They die. Like,
exactly.
Like it because it's like, it's open-ended and you can like have your own opinions about it. You can write your own story. I think that's what's so important. That's what's like empowering about a happily for now, It's like, it's up to you, reader.
Yeah.
You make the choice.
Where do they go from here? What do you see?
Yeah.
So... Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Skye, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for returning to the show. Is Not So Nice Girl, is that out yet, or is it when it's come out? Tell me everything. Yes. Okay.
Tell you everything. The Not So Nice Girl is being released by Small Town Girl Publishing on May 30th, 2023. I am very excited about this. I'm also very excited because I will be at Book Lovers Con in Houston, Texas, the first weekend in June. So basically immediately after it comes out. So I'm excited to be at this romance con. But yes, May 30th, 2023 is the official release date. Pre-orders are live now. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. The cover is adorable. And
It's a cute cover.
I am very excited for the world to meet Sam and Elle. In the meantime, I would definitely shamelessly encourage you to go read Not Suitable for Work.
I'll do it too. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, you should, because now you read it and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I see.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
been a pleasure. I'm so glad we connected again.
Me too. Thank you so much for appearing and being on the show.
Oh, my delight, Becky. Thank you. I hope we talk again soon.
Too Stupid to Live is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. For more podcasts you'll love, visit frolic.media/podcasts. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day.